As a reincarnated red dragon, but having lost in a fight against human children, can Rey fulfill his path of revenge? After returning home, Scarlet noticed the wounds on Rey's body. But Rey didn't want to worry his parents, so he lied and said he got injured during training. Following his defeat in combat, Rey trained even harder. Amy felt guilty about her brother's actions and often accompanied him during training. After another training session, Rey and Amy went home together. Rey knew that his red hair was considered a curse by the villagers, but Amy's encouragement deeply moved him, despite the villagers' prejudice against his red hair. Back in his home practice room, Rey tried the fighting style he was familiar with as a red dragon. It turned out that this style suited him well. He successfully defeated a level 1 magic puppet. Rey activated the puppet's second level mode, realizing that he could only make progress by continuously challenging his limits. Meanwhile, the border village was under attack, and the investigation task was assigned to Jake, who promised to return before the exam. Rey wanted to proudly show his father that he could defeat a level 1 puppet, but before he could say anything, his father had already left. When Rey arrived at the training grounds, he realized that Amy hadn't come today, which made him feel somewhat disappointed. He planned to ask about Amy's whereabouts the next day. However, as Rey reached the village's entrance, he noticed that people were preparing to search for Gary, Amy, and their other 2 friends in the forest. It turned out that Gary's group intended to hunt monsters in the forest, but it was clear that the 4 children wouldn't stand a chance against the monsters. Rey initially thought of ignoring it. However, he recalled Amy's kindness and ultimately decided to venture into the forest to find her. In the forest, Gary and Amy, along with their group, were surrounded by a pack of demon wolves. Gary stood in front of Amy, facing the wolves alone. At that moment, Rey followed the trail of blood and was perplexed by the scattered footprints when he heard Amy's cry in the distance. He hurriedly ran towards her. Just as the demon wolves were about to attack Amy, Rey pulled out the sword his father had given him and blocked the wolves' fangs. However, Rey's shoulder was scratched by the wolves' claws. Rey looked at the unconscious Gary and vulnerable Amy, deciding to lure the wolves away first. He flipped and jumped onto a branch of a tree, but his speed was too slow compared to the wolves. He couldn't divert their attention. However, as the proud red dragon he was, he couldn't allow himself to retreat. Rey took the initiative to attack, targeting the weak spot of the wolves, but his body couldn't provide much strength, only managing to blind one of the wolves' eyes. Rey decided to use a human weapon and took out the sword his father had given him. This time, he not only severed one of the wolf's legs, but also successfully defeated it completely. Rey is heavily injured at this moment. He lay down on the ground weakly, but alertly noticed a flame-shaped system suddenly emerging in the air. The system brought rewards for Rey, allowing him to not only obtain an intermediate monster crystal, but also unlock his first skill, Dragon's Eye Blessing. This was the benefit resulting from slaying the werewolf. To prevent magical beasts from being attracted by their blood, Rey carried Gary and Amy out of the forest. As for the other 2 unconscious children, Kale and Bob, Rey didn't have the strength to take them and covered them with wood. But as Rey reached the village entrance, the mother of Kale and Bob accused Rey of luring her children into the forest and attacked him. Just as this rude woman was about to strike Rey with a wooden stick, Gary blocked it with his arm. He reprimanded the villagers' actions and didn't allow anyone to harm Rey, the person who saved his life. How will he grow after experiencing malicious treatment from the villagers? And will these irrational and crazy villagers face consequences? Stay tuned for our next exciting commentary.